connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
Bolt gets out pretty well, so does Rogers Gathers to it. Gordon bumps again to the sideline.
At Fusion Sport, we're all about driving human performance. We develop and support a range of technologies all designed to assist people to be their best. Smarterbase is used by hundreds of elite sporting organisations across the globe, and more recently has been used by the military and performing arts as well.
Our Smarterbase technology has at the heart of it an integrated and connected philosophy. What's different about Smarterbase is that it's truly flexible and self-engineerable. That really puts the power into our customers' hands, and it allows them to use it in unique ways that perhaps we haven't even thought of.
We don't tell the rest of the field, but here comes Jimmy Stone.
What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson here on a Wednesday night live on the Sports Arena. We got a jam-packed show. We got a couple of guests possibly stopping through, but as always, we show love to everybody who's shown us love. So a big thank you, first and foremost, to my man Rob Graphics, who has done tremendous stuff for not only myself, but for everybody at 806 Sports on the Sip-Off and everybody at the Sideline Sports Network, ASC 365, where you can get custom-made Sports Arena shirts like this, the National Scouting Combine, which is opening up 2022, February 28th through March 4th. That is a tremendous event. Any young athlete out there thinking like he has what it takes to be in the football world and be seen by those who are decision makers, scouts, potential, maybe even agents, that's the place you want to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, if you are not fortunate enough to be a part of the actual NFL Combine. Of course, Trazer and Fusion Sports for always taking care of us. Let me get the entire crew in here tonight because, like I said, we got a lot to talk about this evening. So, as always, first, our Queen of Hoops, Miss Megan Price. Good evening, Megan. What's going on?
Oh, how are you?
Good. I still don't like the Christmas tree, but it's okay. After Thanksgiving, I'll be okay.
I feel like Thanksgiving's better with your Christmas decorations. Not to take away from Thanksgiving, but it's one less thing for me to do as well.
All right, fair enough. I get it. Let me get Fox Sports 1340 AMs only and the Sideline Sports Network guru, that is Mr. John Shears, in the building. What's up, sir? Oh, John, you are muted, my friend.
That was a good start. How you gonna knock that Christmas tree being up in the background? That's a good start. That's nice in the background. By the way, Mike Thibault, I guess how you say his name, signed a contract extension. GM head coach of the Mystics in the WNBA, the winningest head coach in WNBA history. This is not getting enough attention. 3-time coach of the year. If this was the NFL and Don Shula or Bill Belichick or somebody like that who has won all those games, signed a contract extension where they're at, they'd be all over ESPN. So this should get more attention because the team is getting healthy. No longer have to really worry about losing players to COVID and stuff like that from about 2 years ago. The team is starting to get healthy. Watch out, Chicago Sky, because you got a threat. You got a threat because the team's getting healthy, and the winningest coach in WNBA history signed to it. He's also the GM. So
listen, I take nothing away from my.
So it's on Sky.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, we got to, if we're going to talk Mystics, we got to shout out Della Dawn. She's the only woman in the 50, 90, 40 club. She's the only one to do it.
He brought her in. He was the catalyst for bringing her in. So better watch out.
I'm telling you right now.
I see you, Wade.
Please respect the fact that I take nothing away from Della Dawn and Tina Charles. I know what they're capable of, but you do not understand. See, we have a triple threat. We have in the top. Thank you. We have a triple threat. We have the all-star that is Candace Parker. We have the best point guard in the WNBA, Courtney Vandersloot, and there is none better. And
I just think you got lucky because
we have the up-and-coming North Philly stand-up Kalia Copper. We're gonna have a WNBA conversation.
Yeah, you're like the Bucks. You're like the Bucks. You got your one and done. That's all you get.
Stop.
Okay. No. All right. We're gonna see this one down the road, John. But you know what? One person that I do definitely want to bring in here is my boy Mike Caratanudo, because I believe he might have something to say about his Phoenix Mercury.
I mean, first of all, Megan, it is a good-looking tree, but Eric's right, man. You don't put it up till after Thanksgiving. So I hate when I have to.
You know how much stuff I have to do after Thanksgiving?
Us East Coast kids are the same. It doesn't matter. Look, everybody does. I appreciate it. It looks good. I'm with Eric. Secondly, look, the Sky one, all props to him. I get what the Mystics did. I saw him getting re-signed or getting an extension. Dude, it's the Mercury, all right? Diana Taurasi still has blood in her veins. Guess what? And Brittany Griner and Skylar Diggins-Smith, dude, healthy. They're going to be right back there next year.
I mean,
look, y'all talking about those teams, but the Wings got 2 more first-round picks coming up. Again, just like last year. So
there ain't no young kid that's going to beat Taurasi. But anyway.
It's going to be a heck of a season.
Oh, it's going to be an amazing season next season. Trust me. I anticipate seeing Mike, John, and, of course, Megan at these games next year. Don't be surprised if you find your boy sleeping on your couch for a game or two, because we're going to make this happen. Anyhow, let me get my guest in here tonight. I asked him to join us because we are having an NBA conversation. And this man knows a lot about the NBA. Sports Reporters Without Pay. My man Ray Lynn joining us back here on the Sports Community. Good evening, sir. What's going on?
What's up, man? How's it going?
I appreciate you taking time and joining us here tonight.
Can I just chime in and say they're right about the tree?
Oh.
Y'all sound like a bunch of men.
Us?
Y'all
Megan
sound like a bunch of men.
It's just, Megan, listen, and I think I can speak for Mike when I say this. Growing up, we took time to really embrace and celebrate the holidays. Because as a kid, you got time off from school. So we ain't trying to jump no days here, you know? And in my household, it was a tradition that the weekend after Thanksgiving is when you put up all your decorations. Now I get it. Listen, you are a single mother, you're a journalist, you're in the healthcare industry, so you got a lot going on, and I respect that. So I can at least say, okay, I understand it.
Plus, it's gorgeous.
I don't have to like it. No, it's a beautiful tree, Megan. It's a beautiful tree.
Nobody's talking about how it looks, Megan. It's just it's too early.
Look, my best friend put up a tree in October, and she decorated it for Halloween.
November 1st is when it's allowed. Like Christmas music, November 1st, it's allowed.
Absolutely, John. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanksgiving. Anyway, let's get into
the NBA here, because we are 14, 15 games in. So I'll say we're probably about 20% of the way through the season. And I want to talk about the teams that are both ranked in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference in the top 5. One of those names, the Cleveland Cavaliers, at 9-6. And Mike, I saw the screw face you just tried to give me there. So
they're now 9-7. Their game just finished.
Okay. Well, then they may drop out of 5th. Gives the Knicks an opportunity potentially to move up. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that they do stay in this 5th spot, Mike. The Cleveland Cavaliers, at one time, were a dominant team, pretty much now, or I would say, I'm not going to call them an afterthought, but we aren't expecting them to really do much. But we can't ignore where they're at right now.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, look, you got to win games. And like when I always hate that phrase, and that you and I have had this conversation. I hate that phrase. Well, the regular season doesn't matter. So you're telling me if I go 0-82, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to the playoffs at that point. So I get it. Look, it's good to win early. It's good to get on streaks, kind of set a tone for your team. And look, hey, they have won some interesting games, but just the way the East, I mean, I'm waiting for the light to really click in Boston, I guess. And the Knicks, I don't think under Thibodeau will take a step back. But, hey, I give them their props. You're right. 20% of the way through the season. They did just lose tonight. And the Bucks, I just saw, I was watching that. The Bucks beat the Lakers tonight, too. So that was nice to see. But yeah, for Cleveland, look, I mean, again, it's a team that you're right. It is kind of an afterthought because LeBron left. But it would be cool to kind of see them win without LeBron because that would just be it would be comical, but it would be great because then people don't have to, and Cleveland don't have to, thank LeBron for a championship. But them getting out of the East, we all might as well go to Vegas and bet $1 on that because if it does happen, we'll be rich.
Okay, so let me jump then to Ray Lynn and say, how confident are you in the Chicago Bulls given where they're at 10-4 right now?
I like them. Like before the season, I was one of those people that said everybody's hype about these moves, and I don't see it. I don't get it. A lot of people didn't pay attention to what DeRozan was doing last year in San Antonio. He was kind of playing a point forward. He was averaging 20 points, 7 boards, 7 assists. So he was facilitating more than he had in his Toronto days. And now you pair him with a guy who last year averaged 27, 6, and 5 and was 50-40 from the field and from 3. I put up a post on Facebook. DeMar DeRozan and LaVine's numbers are scarily similar right now. Like, go look at their numbers. They're both at 26 points per game, about 5 or 6 rebounds, about 4 assists. They both at high 40s from the field, high 30s from – like, they're both playing phenomenal. And Vucevic hasn't even played well yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm liking it, man. The East is wide open. You mentioned Boston. They haven't figured it out yet. Nobody's talking about Milwaukee. Everybody's talking about LA struggling. Nobody's talking about Milwaukee being under 500 and out of the playoff picture right now. Charlotte started hot. I mean, the East is wide open, and Chicago is playing well right now, and they look like they could sustain this. I like them a lot. If I had to put my money on them against Brooklyn or Milwaukee, I wouldn't. But anything could happen. Like we saw Atlanta in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I don't see any reason why that couldn't be Chicago this year.
Fair enough. John Scheer, I want to go to you, sir, because the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference right now is the Washington Wizards without Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? It was like Russ was the guy who was averaging 30 and 40 and triple doubles consistently in Washington. And now it just appears as though this Washington Wizard team is not only picking up the pieces and saying, okay, Russ, thanks for your services. Have fun in Los Angeles with LeBron. We gonna show y'all what we can do. So talk to me about this Wizards team.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have star players like that on your team, when they leave, it's hard to get over them. Much like you talked about the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs had to find a way eventually to get over having lost LeBron James twice. They had to eventually get over it and be able to move past it and not live in that. So the Wizards have to be able to get past losing John Wall, losing Russell Westbrook, guys like that were. At least Russell Westbrook was a shorter amount of time, but he was important for that franchise for a short amount of time. He did make a big impact. So losing guys like that, you have to find a way to get over it. They have a nice young team. Bradley Beal, obviously, we know what he is. So if they can just build around him and continue to get better, I don't think that they're going to maintain this pace, obviously. But, I mean, I think that they could be 6, 7 seed. I think they could be around there eventually. They'll tail off a little bit, but I like the direction that they're going. They're not going to maintain the number 1 seed. They're just not.
Well,
Okay.
they got a great coach. They got Wes Unseld Jr. from Denver, who coached under Michael Malone. And, I mean, Malone was talking about him today like he didn't want to lose him, but he knew he was more than qualified. Look, Bradley Beal just wants to win, and I agree with you, John. I think it could have been really interesting if Russ stayed there this year. Again, I know it comes down to a money thing, and if they had it, he probably wanted to go back home to LA anyway. But, man, I mean, I like Unseld Jr. as a coach, and obviously that name has a lot of history there, as we know, but I think they can keep it up. I mean, look, if the Celtics aren't going to put the light on, I'm not saying the Bulls won't. I'm not saying the Bulls can't keep it up. And Megan, I know your boy Tyler just wants to pick on me because that show I was coming home, I said there ain't no way they're going to the damn playoffs. Ray, I was with you, man. I'm like, look, I know they got talent. They ain't going anywhere in the East because I didn't think Ben Simmons would be a nut job and a crybaby. So I shouldn't say nut job. I just meant like not in that way, but a crybaby. And look, I mean, Philly is up in arms if when Embiid gets hurt. But man, if Washington keeps playing like this, Beal's got enough confidence to carry that team. That's how I feel.
Eric.
Yes, sir.
I think we fell to mention something about Washington. It's more, I mean, I don't think they can maintain this pace, right? But it's not like when LeBron left Cleveland, there was nothing to replace LeBron James, right? Mm-hmm. Like when Kevin Durant left OKC, there was nothing to replace Kevin Durant. So we're used to seeing stars leave teams, and there's this big void to fill. What people aren't talking about, what's going on in Washington right now, is the slew of guys they got in the offseason that have been really good at different points over the past 4 years. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was a very good player in Detroit until he went and played with LeBron James, and then it was kind of like, he's hit or miss. Kyle Kuzma was very good in L.A. anytime LeBron James wasn't on the court. Spencer Dinwiddie was averaging 20 a game in Brooklyn before KD came there. Montrezl Harrell was 6th man of the year in L.A. All of these guys are on Washington's roster right now, and they're all playing very well. Like, these are guys that kind of got lost in the sauce, 3 of which came from L.A. Spencer Dinwiddie was injured over in Brooklyn. And you take all of that, this is one of those graded into some of his parts kind of thing. I would take those 4 guys over Russell Westbrook any day of the week.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's okay to get rid of Westbrook in that sense because you are a young building team, and it gives other, like you said, it gives other guys opportunities to show what they can do and to develop. I mean, other guys will get less minutes and sit on the bench if Russell Westbrook's there.
But are they really a young building team? All the guys, I mean, they're vets.
Well, I think it's more like they retooled because, there's a difference between a rebuild and a retool. And I think Washington is a perfect example of a retool. They kept their veteran in Beal, but I like what you had to say about the rest of the roster. Like, I feel like it's a bunch of guys that were like cast off of other teams, people you forgot about, and here they are shining over there. Like, I really like what they put together over there. I knew Dinwiddie was going to be a great fit. Just hope he can stay healthy. And I've been saying Kyle Kuzma just needs a real coach, not LeBron James. He needs a real coach to guide him, and that he was going to shine.
All right. So, Megan, let me go to you because Raylin, you brought up Brooklyn, and I wanted to ask you, Megan, right now, I'm holding your feet to the fire. You got to give me one. Which of these 2 teams, as currently constructed, is going to make a deeper run in the playoffs? Is it going to be Brooklyn or is it going to be Miami?
Miami. Brooklyn lives and dies on what happens with KD, and KD has never had a healthy season. So as we've seen, James Harden's skill set has changed since the foul rule changed. Like 20 of his points in a game were coming from the foul line. So that definitely affected his points. We're seeing the problems there. And Kyrie's nowhere to be found. So, I mean, the best that they have is KD. Yeah, there are other pieces on the bench to look good. LaMarcus Aldridge looks good over there, but he's not going to be somebody that's going to be leading your team in a playoff run. He's too old for it. They're going to live and die on what KD does, and KD is going to get injured.
But now, even with load management, if KD, let's say he doesn't play 15 of the 82-game season to prepare him for the postseason, you're still going to give the nod to Miami.
Yes, I think they're just a deeper team, and I think they're a better coach team, and I think that coaching experience is going to come in there as well. Their coach has a ton of playoff experience, and, I mean, Steve Nash is just in his 2nd year, so I'm not a believer in him as of yet.
All right. John, I understand where you're coming from. Mike, what are you shaking your head about?
because I just don't see it. Like, I look, I like Miami. I kid around and poke at John and say Jimmy Butler's a diva. I don't think Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler's a dog. Get it through
He's
your
a
thick
dog.
skull.
Man,
Jimmy Butler's
Hey,
a dog.
a diva can be a dog.
I don't think so.
One is no. You can be a diva. You can still be.
You don't
a dog.
see
I'm just
divas
saying,
that hard
he
working.
shouldn't- He shouldn't have left. Really? Have you ever seen
Yeah.
every single receiver in the NFL? Because a lot of them are very hardworking and they're all divas. So that
OBJ.
statement makes no sense.
I think of OBJ when
still
I
works.
think of that.
Okay, well, he can still run really good patterns. That being said, look, with Jimmy Butler, if he wouldn't have left Philly, and I get it. Ben Simmons had that money. Maybe he didn't want to play with Ben Simmons, but all of a sudden it was great to be in Philly with Embiid, and then all of a sudden it's not. And I don't think Embiid's a problem. I think maybe
That's not what happened,
could be
Mike.
more
What happened
Ben
was he
Simmons.
criticized them during practice. Ben
That
Simmons
was
got
Minnesota.
talked about
Wasn't
this.
that Minnesota?
No,
He
it
did
was
that
Philly.
in Minnesota with. Well, he did it in
No,
Minnesota.
they
too, to get
they
away
fell
from
out
Thibodeau.
during practice. Embiid took the criticism and used it as constructively and started playing better. And Ben Simmons went soft. That's what happened.
Well, right.
And so
Sounds
Butler
like
got
he
traded.
also
pulled
He
that-
didn't just leave.
But he also pulled. Yeah, he wanted out. I get that. I'm just saying. Look, I like Jimmy Butler, I like Spoelstra. I'm just saying, if we're going to talk coaching in a team that made steps and improvements, I'm going to take Tibbs with what the Knicks want to do and what they can do. And to your point on Brooklyn, look, Harden's still hurt, and look, he's trying to play through it. I get he had an off season ish to rehab the hamstring. He doesn't look the same. I agree with you on the fouls, and it's nice to see an NBA game actually have more pace and a non-basketball thing actually not be a foul. I agree with that statement. I've heard a million times. But Harden shouldn't be playing right now. That's all I'm saying. Harden should not be playing right now. And yes, I will go to bat for him because, look,
But he's got to play because Kyrie's not there.
You really said you take Tibbs.
He's
You really said you take Tibbs.
I
That's
love
what you
Tom
said.
Thibodeau. Really?
You take
That's not-
Tibbs
that's not-
over Spoelstra? Is that what you do? Why don't you go back and look at all the times they played in the playoffs?
Well,
Spoelstra beat him every time.
James and Dwayne Wade,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Spoelstra beat him every
Yes,
time.
it does matter.
I could have coached
And
that
yeah.
Miami Heat team and beat
It
Chicago.
doesn't matter.
When
You can't
Spoelstra
take
came
away
in his
from the
first year,
success.
everybody said it was still Pat Riley's team because Pat
Success
Riley
is
had a huge
success.
Well, okay, because he learned under Pat Riley too. Great. I'm just saying the way Tom Thibodeau's teams play, and look, Atlanta beat him.
Yeah,
in the
they play
playoffs.
great
We all saw what
defense. They don't
happened.
play
But that wasn't the question,
Right,
Mike.
and if you
It
can't
was
score-
between Brooklyn and Miami.
Right,
Not New York,
Brooklyn.
but
I'm
not
just
New
saying,
York.
Brooklyn and Miami. With Harden right, I'll take Brooklyn any day of the week and twice on Sundays with KD because look, what KD did in the playoffs last year with Harden on one leg, they're what 6? I mean, that was a joke. They're like a quarter shoe size away from beating Milwaukee anyway.
Right.
So look, Harden getting right. Harden's going to hit shots from all over the floor. Him and Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. I'll take those three shoot from anywhere on the floor. And sorry, Miami. You can try and shoot for where they can and try and do what they do. You can't replicate what Harden does when he's healthy.
My thing about that is-
It's not hard to replicate what he does because he doesn't play defense.
90% of
My
the
thing
NBA
He
about
doesn't play
Harden-
defense. Miami plays defense.
Okay.
They're a
So does
top.
Golden
They're a
State.
top
Well,
10
so does Golden
defensive
State.
team right now.
Well, we're not
They're
on the
top
Western
10
Conference
offensive
yet.
team.
We're not on We're not on the Western
My
Conference
thing
yet
is-
when we get there. Go ahead.
My
Megan.
thing
And
about
then I
Harden
definitely
is,
want to get
okay.
Ray Lynn in there too as well.
Like if Harden is really, and he's in, I agree. I think he's injured and he's notoriously healthy most of the time. Like he's just one of those players that doesn't get injured a lot. So if he is injured, I think it is serious because he's just one of those that just doesn't get injured like that. So, but how are you going to heal up your hamstring? You can't play through it, and he's got to play because Kyrie's not there. So who do you think is going to make the longer playoff run?
Yeah, and without Kyrie, it's over.
Yeah, but they're
See,
beating
everybody
up. But
says
here you
that,
go.
and-
You're beating up. They're 10-5. You're acting like they're 5-10. They're beating
No,
up.
I
on the
mean, I'm
teams
just saying I
that
think
they should-
Miami
hold on,
has-
hold on. But they're beating up on the teams they should beat up on. So before Ray goes, all I'm going to say, they can win just about half their games because they'll beat up on teams that aren't that good. And when it comes to upper echelon teams like we saw last night, yes, that could be the issue. I'm just saying, Harden, if he sits out for a while and they figure out the whole Kyrie mess, which I don't think anybody can figure out because to him the earth's still flat. But I'm not going to bet against Harden and Durant on a court because those are two of the deadliest shooters. Again, we saw what happened last night with Curry and Klay Thompson's going to come back. I get it, and we're not talking West, Eric, but with Harden, if he sits out a while, and against bad teams, you're talking about load management against teams that they can beat. Dude, I'll take Harden and Durant.
Go ahead, Raylan.
Go ahead.
I would just like to say I would agree with one thing Mike said. Like a lot of people, and with the new rules, people wanted to jump right at. Look at Harden. It's the rules. It's not like Harden is a superstar. Like guarding superstars. So there's this statistic on Basketball Reference, and it'll show you where players shoot their field goals from. This year, Harden is shooting a career low 16% of his field goals from 3 feet in. You know why? Because he has no burst ability. He has no explosion. He can't get by anybody. So he's just dribbling, settling for contested step backs. Yes, he's not able to draw the fouls, which would really help him a lot. But it's not just that. He's clearly still kind of trying to protect that injury and not playing to his full capability. I don't know if that's helping. But the way KD's playing right now, like it would be hard to bet against them. The only caveat I would say, and we talked about Miami and Brooklyn, and nobody has mentioned this guy's name. Tyler Hero has taken a humongous jump this year, and that alone makes me go, man, I didn't believe in Miami before the season. In fact, people keep saying, wait till Oladipo comes back. No, he doesn't need to come back. As a matter of fact, trade him while somebody still believes in him. He doesn't fit in with what they do. You don't want him on the court instead of Tyler Hero. You want Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler leading the way. And you want Kyle Lowry's I'm a bulldog and defense and leadership. You want that on the floor. There's no
but Ray, Oladipo off the bench, though? Oladipo off the bench on the second unit
let me
would be
explain
sick.
something, man. Oladipo is the Flip Murray of this generation. Like a while ago, Ray Allen was injured to start a season in Seattle, and Flip Murray started the year averaging like 28. People thought he was nice, and then he fell off. Same thing Reggie Jackson did at OKC. Like Oladipo had one really good year in Indiana, and the whole world still think he a star. He been in the league 8 or 9 years, and he got one great season under his belt.
He can't stay healthy.
That's my main thing. Is like Brooklyn can't stay healthy at this moment, and that's what makes me pick Miami over Brooklyn.
I'll say this much about KD. I have never seen any athlete recover from an Achilles injury and look like this. Right. That man is shooting 56% from the field. It's ridiculous what he's doing right now. So it's hard to bet against that.
The closest I've seen was Kobe. That was the closest I saw.
And he was awful.
He tried to come back from an injury like that.
Well, no, Dominique did too. I don't know how old you are, but Dominique did too.
Dominique got 30 Dominique.
And you mentioned Reggie Jackson, but he's looking good on the Clippers. It's not like he just completely fell off.
No, he fell off in Detroit. He was horrible.
Okay.
No, because
so
nobody wants to be in Detroit, Ray.
Don't talk about my city, man.
Like Charles Barkley. No, I like Detroit, but Charles Barkley had the best line when they did his bloopers. He goes, he couldn't figure out where a player played. It took him 4 guesses to guess it was Detroit. And he goes, what the hell would I watch a Detroit game for?
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to transition over to the Western Conference. More with our special guest, Sports Reporters Without Pay, Ray Lynn, and the rest of the crew on the Sports Arena. Back in a moment.
Generations Physical Therapy has been the Tri-State's leader in physical therapy services for over 20 years. And now we have a convenient location right in the heart of the capital city of Charleston, just off I-64. With convenient parking and flexible hours, your access to physical therapy is second to none. Plus, Snap Fitness is also in sight with 2 floors of gym equipment and sports enhancement training through A-Game Sports Performance. So whether you're needing hands-on physical therapy or looking to get results in our gym, our family's ready to help yours. Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness. Multiple services, multiple locations. Experience you can count on.
Welcome back into the Sports Arena. Your man Eric Wilson alongside our girl, Queen of Hoops, Megan Price, Fox Sports 1340 AM, John Scheer, Believe in the Pac-12 Basketball, Mike Caratudo, and our special guest, Ray Lynn, Sports Reporters Without Pay. So let's transition over to the Western Conference. And Mike, I not only got you for a couple of minutes, thank God for small favors. So I'm going to let you talk about your 9-game win streak, Phoenix Suns, who are sitting right now second in the Western Conference. So, Mike, I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead. Have fun.
Well, look, I mean, they went. This win streak is awesome, and they should get the win tonight against Dallas. I mean, no Luka, they're not going to overlook anybody. But I will say this: like, they went without Ayton in the lineup. They were 6-0 or 7-0, and don't scream at me because I know you guys would be surprised. People, I said that's a good thing to look at. Not because they shouldn't re-sign him. Yes, they need to sign him and extend him and pay him. I don't know if it's a max thing or not, whatever, the year's deals, all the details. But the fact that we're 6-0 without Ayton, and now he's coming back and he played good the other night, and they have Dallas at home. Actually, their next 2 games, they play instead of like a home and away, they play like a home and home, and they got Dallas 2 nights in a row. Luka's not going tonight, but yeah, they started, 1-2, and everybody's like, oh, they got a hangover. I'm like, it's 3 games. But, yeah, Chris Paul's looked good. Bridges is getting back into form. Crowder seems – he's playing okay, but not to his same-ish form as he started off the season last year. But Bridges, man, he got paid. And that kid, like I told you, you needed to sign – they re-signed him. And that the wing defender that he is, I'm not saying he's going to be, he's going to be better than Klay Thompson on defense, but he definitely frustrates anybody on the wing shooting threes, and he doesn't need to shoot the ball a lot. So it's interesting because Golden State at 12-3 now, the Suns are 10-3. I think they play at the end of this month for the first time, but they play on Christmas Day when everybody's going to be watching. And they were saying that could be actually Klay Thompson's first game back here Christmas Day against the Suns. So, look, they look good. Monty's a great coach. I love Monty. All his experiences brought him to this, and all the mess going on with Sarver, this team, look, just focus on what they can control and focus on and go from there. But, Booker's looking good. Chris Paul, I think he'll start to get nights off as the season wears on, not because he wants them, but I think Monty will give them to him. He's not a real load management guy, but, the shoulder got banged up in the beginning of the playoffs, and, it got better by – the end of the Lakers, actually probably by the end of the Nuggets series, since they swept them and had a little bit extra time off. But man, the West is going to be interesting, man. I thought that Utah would, I thought Utah would keep up with what they did last year in the regular season. So it's interesting to see that. I know they were the last, undefeated team or whatever, but yeah, Dallas is going well. Golden State's Golden State. They get Klay back. And that's just unfair. That's how great the West is, because I'm not even talking about Portland. And they get Klay back, who is going to have, fresh legs, has to get into game shape. It's been almost 2 years since he played a game. But you get to add that around Christmas or right after the New Year. Come on. That's just not fair.
All right. So showing love to our friend Marcus Shaw, saying the Suns versus Warriors winner is going to the finals. He's already booking this 14, 15 games in. Mike, I know you got to go, my brother. Appreciate your time as always. We'll definitely see you next Monday night, bro.
Absolutely. You guys are the best. See you, buddy.
Later. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the West here, because everybody 12-2, Golden State. Fair, unfair, it really doesn't matter to me, because since the 90s, we've seen these super teams, these big threes come together and just make these tremendous runs. But the Warriors are doing it without one of their proverbial, if you will, big guys. And the talk is when Klay comes back, it's pretty much going to be a wrap. Do y'all agree with that?
I don't. First of all, I don't consider them a super team. They drafted that's all homegrown talent. That's not like they traded for any of those 3 guys. With KD, yeah, you could say that a little bit. That's obviously different. But those 3 were drafted. It's not like they traded for any of those guys. So I don't count that as a super team. That's just a good job on the front office part. But Suns versus Warriors, I don't say that yet, because I need to see what Klay is. We haven't seen him in a long time, and we know he's a phenomenal player, and he's had so many setbacks, and we hope that he can be the guy that he was, because we're all I'm sure we're all rooting for him to be able to get back to being able to play basketball and play at the level he can, just as a basketball fan. But we need to see what he is. Let's be honest. Like, we need to see. I mean, it's hard for a professional athlete to be off that amount of time and just ask him to be what Klay was. Like, that's a lot to ask. So, that's what I got to see.
My question to you is, how many games are you going to give Klay Thompson before you make a true assessment of the team? Let's say, for argument's sake, he comes back Christmas.
Well,
by the middle of January, are you going to be able to then say, okay, this is who we thought this team was going to be. They're going to make a run. They're going to win.
I can't say that. I mean, typically, if you know anything about injuries with professional athletes, it takes them, like Carson Wentz, it took him a long time to mentally, and I know he's talked about this, mentally come back from his injury. I believe it was an ACL injury. Athletes, typically, it takes them at least a year mentally to be able to get comfortable playing their sport, because I mean, the physical part's hard, the rehab's hard, but the mental part, just being able to be confident in planting that knee or that Achilles or whatever, it takes these athletes a very long time. And I don't think a lot of fans really, they don't give players time to really get back to being a professional athlete. These are the best players in the world. And to just say, hey, you're off for 2 years, you had all that rehab, yeah, just come right back. Like, so I can't say that. That's not fair after all he's going through. That's how I see it.
All right, fair enough. Ray Lynn, what's your thoughts?
Did Megan have something to say about Golden State? Because if I start talking about Steph, you know how that's going to get.
Okay, Megan, I'm going to let you go ahead and go.
I'm going to chime in on the Klay part right there. I think you have to take into account of exactly what Ray Lynn said earlier about KD and that Achilles injury. Like, we've never really seen that many athletes come back from that injury and come back to almost the exact same form that they were before that. Like, it was before medicine is the way it is now, like that and the ACL were career-ending injuries. And he had both of those injuries. So we're definitely going to have to give him some time before we can make that assessment. But the thing about Golden State is that roster is so loaded that even if he's not in the greatest of health, they're still winning games, and they're winning games at a ridiculous amount.
Ray Lynn, I'm going to give you the floor.
Listen, this season is proving what I've been saying for 5 years. Let's start here. Steph Curry is the best player in basketball. Let's start there, right? I don't necessarily agree with the idea that to be a super team, it had to be put together. But I never thought Golden State was a super team. Pre-KD, right? I've been saying for years, not that Klay's not a good player, not that Draymond's not a good player. Because Golden State was winning games, people started to overrate those guys like they were superstars. When you talk about like Miami, you talk about Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron before they came together. 3 guys that were superstars and leading their own teams. You look at Boston with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. 3 guys who were stars and leading their own teams. Klay and Draymond not leading no team without no Steph. Like, and this is proven that last year and this year, Steph continuously proves to people when they say, oh, what is he going to do now? He shows you. When KD came to Golden State 17, 18, he wins finals MVPs. They get to the playoffs in 19. KD goes down and the whole world goes, what is Steph going to do now? Nothing but win 6 consecutive games, putting Houston up out of there, going and sweeping Portland in the conference finals, averaging 36, 9, and 7, just destroying Dame, and actually putting up a fight in the finals. Comes back last year. What's he going to do? No Klay. Nothing but lead the league in scoring, shooting ridiculous percentages, and finish 3rd in MVP. What's he going to do this year? Klay's not there. Nothing but have the best record in the league with a bunch of guys that nobody even knows who they are, right? I keep telling people wings win in the NBA. So what Golden State did, they went and surrounded him with a bunch of long, athletic, versatile wings, guys that can switch everything on defense and shoot the ball and knock down open shots. You got Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter. They went and got Iggy back. Damian Lee's playing great. And Gary Payton II, where did he come from? The Warriors are legit, and it all starts and stops with the best player in basketball. You take Steph Curry off that team, and this is the 2001 Vancouver Grizzlies. That's what it is. Like, this team is horrible without Steph Curry. But with Steph Curry, we talking about contenders. That's how great he is.
If I may,
Hold on. I need to take a moment because he said you take Steph off the Golden State Warriors. They are the 2001 Vancouver Grizzlies. I need to marinate on that just for a moment. I need 10 seconds, y'all, because that one just took me right there. That was a true moment. Give me 10 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, Thank you. I'm better now. There was no way I was going to keep going the show after you just said that. But Megan, please, John, go ahead, John.
Yeah. You said about Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James. I mean, Bosh was fantastic in Toronto. I take nothing away from what he did in Toronto. In Miami, he took a step back because that was the way the team was constructed. Somebody had to take a step back and be able to facilitate and let the others lead. Like the three of them couldn't all have the ball at once. So somebody had to sacrifice, and Chris Bosh was willing to sacrifice in Miami so that way LeBron could lead the team and then Dwayne Wade would be second. Somebody had to do that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. Draymond, I think he's a little bit overrated player. He's great defensively, but never an offensive elite player. I always thought he was a bit overrated. He hangs on a little bit of the coattails. That's what I've always thought of Draymond, but still a great player. I don't know. I think it's unfair to say that about Bosh. You know, he was fantastic. I mean, Kevin Garnett was great with the Timberwolves before he went to Boston. He was fantastic. I think Paul Pierce was a little bit overrated. He got helped out getting to the Hall of Fame by Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett coming along and helping him win those championships.
John, so that was my point. And just for the record, those guys helped Kevin Garnett's career as much as he helped theirs. Because if you look at his resume in Minnesota, it's pitiful, right? The point
he did what he could with not a great team, him and Sprewell.
Because Tim Duncan won with Tony Parker and Manu, and now we think they're great.
Oh, well, those are elite players.
I'm not going to do the Spurs hate.
Yeah, those are elite players. And
John,
Greg Popovich, come on, man.
Those super teams, right?
That's not a super team. They were all drafted.
No, not San Antonio, right? I'm saying the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat. We're talking about three guys coming together who were all stars in their own right. I'm saying those were guys who could lead a team to playoffs, and now they're going to play together, right? Like Kyrie, Harden, and KD, or Paul George, Melo, and Westbrook. We thought that was going to be a super team. What I'm saying is the Golden State, the original Golden State, was Steph Curry and some sidekicks. You know, they were never like they became stars by virtue of winning. It's kind of like when Atlanta Hawks won 60 games and Kyle Korver was an all-star. Like Golden State won 67, so it's like all these guys are stars. Draymond Green's value, and I love Draymond Green, solely rests with Steph Curry.
Yep,
like
you're right.
With Steph Curry, Draymond Green is one of the most valuable players in the league. Like you take him off Golden State, and it'll hurt. You put him somewhere though.
He did what Dennis Rodman did for the Bulls. The dirty work.
Much more.
But the dirty work that nobody's willing to do.
The dirty work. He facilitates. The first year he was knocking down open shots. He rebounds. He legitimately defends 1 through 5. Like Draymond Green is that heart and soul. He's the engine. But it all starts and stops with Steph. You put Draymond Green on Portland, and he's not. People think if Dame had him, no. Dame has to operate with the ball. Steph Curry is the greatest player in the history of basketball without the ball, including Reggie Miller, including Ray Allen, including his teammate Klay. Without the ball, Steph wreaks havoc on defenses, and Draymond know where to find them. So, yeah.
But I'm excited to see what Klay brings to the defensive side of the ball because he is absolutely an elite defender. So once Klay gets back into form and he feels comfortable, I'm excited. They're already looking like a top defense already. So what are they going to look like if Klay gets back to that form? Like, that's really exciting.
And Wiggins looking like a hooper.
I know, and that's crazy because I don't believe in Wiggins.
You getting challenged. Marcus Shaw keeps say something about Dirk. He keeps challenging you.
So I want to go to Megan to talk about her Mavericks, and then I know you're
that's
a Spurs
not my
girl, Megan.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying you keep getting challenged.
So Megan, talk to me about the Dallas Mavericks, and then Raylan. I guess Marcus Shaw is saying he's calling you out, saying say something about Dirk.
I'm curious as to that.
Yeah, I am too. But first,
he
let me
beat
talk
my
to
Heat,
Megan.
so
Megan, talk to me about the Dallas Mavericks, and then Raylan, I'm gonna let you do your thing.
With the Mavericks, I think that they didn't have a lot of roster changes. I wasn't really excited to see what they were going to do this season, and they absolutely proved me wrong. They're 9-4 right now. They're in the 3rd seed. Now, right below them is the Jazz, and I'm not really even counting them as much of a playoff team. They're going to make it to the playoffs. They're going to make it to the 2nd round, and then they're going to leave like they do every year. So they're like the regular season champs. But the Nuggets, the number 5 team, I think is the better team out of both of those teams. The Mavs had a complete coaching staff change, and I wasn't a super big believer in Jason Kidd, but he's doing really well over there. But the biggest thing about the Mavericks is Porzingis is showing up.
Okay. And you failed to mention the baby goat, Luka. Well, I mean,
okay, but Luka's going to do Luka. We know Luka's going to do that. Like, there's not much you can say on that. Like, him, Steph, you know what they're going to do to you. They're going to jack it up close to the half court line. Like, that's what it's going to be. There's not a whole lot of defense that you can play on that. But for the rest of his cast to be playing as well, Porzingis is playing that role that he should have been playing. He's looking like the New York Knicks form, a unicorn that we were used to seeing. Tim Hardaway Jr. is doing his thing, and the rest of the supporting cast looks really good. Cauley Stein, all of them, they look great.
All right, so Raylan, what is this with you and Marcus talking about Dirk?
Real quick, because it all ties in together. So we talking about Dallas. The really scary thing, in a negative way, with Dallas right now is you look at the standings. They're the only team in the West in the top 8 with a negative, differential, if you want to call it that. Meaning they're 9-4, but they've been outscored by other teams. Meaning they're 9-4, so when they win small. When they lose big, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
that means they're pulling out a lot of really tight, close games. I think this year for Luka is put up or shut up time. We can no longer give him the excuse of, oh, he's young, he's just hitting his stride. No, we're going to place him with the greats. Baby Goat, and he's the best we've seen since this guy. And look at these playoff numbers, and his scoring average is higher than Mike. At some point, we got to start holding his feet to the fire like we do every other superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Dirk Nowitzki, the guy that's commenting, Marcus Show. I've known him for years. One of my young Marines on the Marine Corps. He's just a humongous Dallas Mavericks fan. He's a Dirk Nowitzki fan. He trolls people, and no matter what the conversation is, he says Dirk Nowitzki. Like, he wants people to give Dirk Nowitzki his props. So just for him, since you brought me on the show and you said, Ray, talk about Dirk, I'll say this. When people talk about the greatest power forwards ever, most people put KG ahead of Dirk, and I don't see how. I tell people all the time, Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota for 12 years. He made it past the first round one time. That was in 2004 when they went to the Western Conference Finals. Kevin Garnett won MVP in 2004, dead smack in the middle of his prime, and missed the playoffs the next 3 years until Danny Ainge came and saved his career and said, come on, be part of this super team. And people will go, well, he didn't have nobody. Excuse me, Dirk Nowitzki went to the finals in 2006 with Josh Howard as his second best player.
And JJ Barea.
Josh Howard could ball, though. Josh Howard was a hometown Dallas dude. Like, he could ball. Like, I really like Josh Howard.
Josh Howard is a very good player. But when you think about the pantheon of greats in NBA history, right, and you go, how did they win? And you think about who they were paired with. You think Shaq and Kobe. You think Mike and Scottie. You think KD and Steph. You think LeBron and Wade.
I think you got to throw Timmy in this conversation too. I love that they both did it with one team. I respect it very much, but Tim Duncan got to be in this conversation.
This was about Dirk. Tim Duncan is in a class way above those guys. Dirk and KG are fighting with Malone and Barkley for who's the second to fifth greatest power forward, right? You can move those guys interchangeably. Tim Duncan is clearly the greatest. Tim Duncan has a top 5, top 6 resume. I think he slept on. I think Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker ain't in that conversation with the Kobe and Shaqs, the Magic and Kareems. Those aren't those type of players. So to me, Timmy won with less.
I agree.
Right? But same with
Dirk.
I think
one with less.
Terry is the second best player.
The one with less? Did you not see Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and Greg Popovich? What are you on?
Some players, right? Just like I just said about Draymond. When you win games, player stature get elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Manu Ginobili was on the Clippers, we'd remember him like Jamal Crawford.
I don't believe that. I think Manu would have been starting on any other team, but he knew his role in San Antonio.
People say the same thing about Lou Williams. People say the same thing about Vinnie Johnson on the Pistons. People say the same thing about Jamal Crawford.
I would never put Lou Williams in the same category as Manu Ginobili.
Every great six man that can get buckets, people go, if they were starting somewhere else, if Manu Ginobili was starting somewhere else, he'd be Michael Redd. In other words, we would never talk about him.
I disagree, but I mean, I feel you.
I guess each their own.
You think Manu Ginobili could lead a team to success?
Manu Ginobili is my favorite player of all time. So I mean, I could go off on this.
I hated that guy, but I give him his props.
We can.
But I will say this: if you go and you watch the Tony Parker documentary that was on Netflix, Kobe did his last interview for that documentary, and he just talked about how much Tony Parker elevated his game, like just the competition that he brought to that level. So while everyone else may not view him as being as good as Kobe viewed him as good as him.
As good as who?
As himself.
Who viewed Manu Ginobili?
Yes.
Parker.
We done.
Tony Parker.
Tony Parker.
We still disrespecting the dead. We not doing this.
Well, wait, no.
I'm not saying it. Kobe
If
said.
Kobe
literally
Kobe
said it
is
in the
saying
documentary.
that he values Tony Parker as a great athlete, and it's coming from Kobe's mouth. Kobe is saying,
Right.
"Listen, you, Tony Parker, are someone who I consider to be a great player." Kobe is putting him on this pedestal. We
Right.
aren't doing it.
Yeah,
Man,
no,
listen,
it wasn't
I've
me.
never-
He literally said, "You're the reason that I didn't have more rings was because of Tony Parker."
Man, listen, like players do this thing where they get like super respectful and like to pay homage to certain players. It's one of the things like Tony Parker for the if you take that decade, the 2000s, Tony Parker is in the conversation with three other guys for who you want to pick had the best decade out of. It's him, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and Chauncey Billups. Nobody else is in the conversation for the 2000s.
Okay.
Kudos to him. Tony Parker is not even in the same, like he can't look at Kobe's jockstrap. Not hold it. He can't look at it. He can't touch it. He can't smell it. He don't know what size it is. None of that. We never gonna mention Tony Parker with Kobe. Like that's just so disrespectful. If Kobe paid him props, that's outstanding, right? Again, when you play for a great team, your stature can get elevated. Like a Derek Fisher with 5 rings. I guarantee you, Kobe speaks very highly of Derek Fisher. We might not have won without Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher ain't no all-time great.
No.
Tony Parker's a second-tier star in the history of the NBA. He's not.
I thought Tony Parker was the reason that they were able to go and get those championships when he was there. I thought he was the catalyst that drove them. I really did. I always thought that about him.
You mean like the one?
Not
that won that
statistically.
It was all three. I mean,
But
you have to count Kawhi in that, especially in that last championship. You have to count what Kawhi did in that. And I'm not much of a Kawhi fan anymore, but I mean, I don't know.
But
It was all of
I
it.
saw Tony Parker save their bacon in so many playoff games where he just made big play after big play facilitating the ball. And facilitating the ball is not as sexy as scoring. I get that. But
Sure.
he always made the play that they needed. Like Derek Jeter, he always made the play that he had to play in the playoffs.
Right, but
Maybe
who's
not
the-
regular
who's
season,
the
he's not
common
that guy.
denominator,
But in the
though?
playoffs, he always gave
Tim
you
Duncan.
that when you needed it.
Who's the common
Always.
denominator though?
Duncan.
99.
Duncan.
Tony Parker not even in the NBA. 03. Tony Parker's a role player, right? So if you go, David Robinson was there in 99. Well, then he was watched in 03 and he wasn't there in 05, 07, and 14. Kawhi wasn't there in 07, 05, and 99. So who's the common denominator in all 5? Pop and Duncan. And what have they been since
Tim-
Duncan left?
Right.
Tony
That's
Parker
what I
went to
said.
Charlotte and nobody thought about him no more.
When it comes to me thinking about the San Antonio Spurs, outside of Pop, of course, there are 2 names and primarily one name that I will always associate with the San Antonio Spurs, and that is Tim Duncan. I respect the hell out of the Admiral because I've grown up enough to watch this game. I'm sure as most of us have.
Yep.
But for this generation, if you will, okay, Tim Duncan, San Antonio Spurs.
Well, I'll say this:
And-
look how we look without them.
Oh no, I listen. Yes,
You know, look how we
It's a
look without
completely
them. It's
different-
rough.
You know who Tony Parker reminds me of career-wise? James
Who?
Worthy. James
Who?
Worthy. James Worthy.
Mhm.
Magic and Kareem was going to be Magic and Kareem, whether James Worthy ever existed or not. But since he played with them, they're a big 3. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's big game James, and he's great. Man, listen. you
I
take
think it
him
was
off the
Pop
Lakers
that made
team-
him great, not just Tim Duncan. I think because Pop made him exactly who he was.
I mean, we can all of that factors in. I'm simply saying before Big Game James was drafted, the Lakers won 2 championships in the 80s before he came. Before Tony Parker got there, San Antonio won a championship. And then when he got there, I'll never forget the 03 finals, I think it was. People were shocked, like he's really playing Jason Kidd, heads up, like he was this young up-and-coming guard. And they was like, where'd this guy come from? He wasn't great. So Tim Duncan from 99 to 03, Tim Duncan had 2 MVPs, 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, rookie of the year. He was submitted. It was like this 5-year run that Greek is on right now, way before Tony Parker was even a household name. So he
I can do
comes
that.
along, he latches on to Duncan. It's like you remember those 3 as being this big 3. I just think, to me, it speaks more to Tim Duncan's greatness that Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, for me, aren't amongst the greatest to ever do this game. Like, Tony Parker's not a top 10 all-time point guard. Ginobili's not a top 10 all-time shooting guard. Ginobili's not a T-Mac. He's not a Kobe.
He is the
Like,
greatest 6th man to ever touch the court.
He's not
Yeah,
Kevin McHale.
yeah, I agree with that.
He's not Kevin McHale.
You're saying
I think
Kevin
he's
McHale
better.
is the greatest 6th man to come on the court.
With-
No, I'm saying
Again,
Manu.
That's debatable. Like, yeah. I don't even have a problem with saying Manu. We can move on. I know you want to talk to us
All right.
about the rest of the West.
No, that's fine. No, we got to transition. We only got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to transition over to the NFL because we do have Thursday night football. And just let everybody know really quick, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel is back tomorrow night. make sure you check us out 7 p.m. We got a lot to get to with all that. But let's talk about the Thursday night matchup. It is the New England Patriots 6-4 heading to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play the Atlanta Falcons, who are 4-5. Now, listen, both these teams last week had one thing in common. 40 points were scored by the teams respectively. So New England put up 45 on Cleveland, and Dallas put up 43 on Atlanta. So when I look at this game, as not even painfully obvious as it is to me, I really see, oh Lord, Marcus Shaw says the Falcons are going to, Marcus, in the immortal words of Alex Fleming, you need to be drug tested. Because there ain't no way on God's green earth Bill Belichick's going to come down to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a place where with Tom Brady, they were able 28-3. That's all I'm going to say to y'all. I mean, just because Brady ain't there, I don't think Mac Jones ain't going to put up at least 25-30 on you. But it's Matt Ryan. He's at home, short week. He wants to get that Dallas stink off of him, which if, I agree. Matt, can you take a couple more showers? But what do y'all think with this game with regards to New England and Atlanta? John Scheer?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think it'll be a closer game than we think. I think New England's overrated, very much so. There's no reason for them to be in these high up power rankings. I mean, you don't get to play the Jets again. You got them twice, so that helped out your stats. That helped out your win. So you don't get them again, New England Patriots. Obviously they should win this game. The Falcons, we saw what they did to the Saints, and then we saw what they did with the Cowboys. Like, the team's inconsistent. There's no Calvin Ridley. They can't run the ball worth anything. Cordell Patterson might not even play, who's been your best offensive player this year. He might not even play. So, I mean, if he doesn't play, you have no shot. I just can't see on a short week with him banged up. I can't see the Falcons winning this game. They're gonna give Matt Ryan a lot of trouble, and he's gonna turn it over and get sacked a lot.
All right, Raylan, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I agree with John that New England's gonna win. I just don't understand why he just tried to play them boys like, oh, you don't get to play the Jets. Like, their last 3 wins weren't against the Chargers, the Panthers, and then they just dog walked Cleveland. Like, we just watched this with our own eyes, and we're talking about the Jets.
Yeah, Cleveland's overrated.
Cleveland's a good
They're
team,
frauds.
Cleveland's a good team. Like you. First off, you can only play who's on your schedule. Like, but they went out and dog walked them. Like, Cleveland has played well this year, and New England went out and made them look like nobodies. Right. The interesting thing about New England is they're undefeated on the road. That's weird. They're 4-0 on the road.
They can't win at Gillette.
2-4 at home. 2-4. They're 6-4, right? So that would make them 2-4 at home and 4-0 on the road. We know what Belichick is great at. He's great at taking away what you do best, right? Which for Atlanta right now would be take Cordell Patterson away. And then if he's not playing, that makes it even easier. I think New England wins. I think they win convincingly. I'm thinking 35-10-ish. Like, I think they're going to win very convincingly. And I think Mac Jones is going to continue to cement himself as the offensive rookie of the year. Even though it should be Jamar Chase, he's a quarterback, so he's going to get a leg up. But I think this is an easy win for New England.
Yeah, I agree. I look at this game, John, and listen, you just got whooped by Dallas, arguably, and it pains me to say this, as y'all know, one of the more complete teams on all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams. So you have to find a way to mentally get this game off your back. And I don't know if Atlanta can do it, because fact of the matter is this: if you take out Kyle Pitts, what does Matt Ryan have? Nothing. He doesn't.
The only thing I'll say to that, Eric, is the way the NFL's been this year, I can't say any team is going to win any game convincingly right now. The way the NFL is, I have no idea week in and week out, game in and game out. I have no idea.
You're right.
Especially week 10.
Look at the Ravens-Dolphins.
Especially week 10. What Eric said, there's no way. Listen, man, you wouldn't have been able to tell me that Miami was going to beat Baltimore. You couldn't have told me that my squad got a tie. We won't go 0-17, Eric. We won't go 0-17, baby.
Hey, and I gave you a couple.
Oh, no, you 2-0. You had the bye week.
Philly got a huge win. Washington beat Tampa Bay. Anything is possible, but except for when it's Matt Ryan. But anything is possible.
Megan Price, final word, and then we're going to get out of here for tonight.
I really think the Patriots are going to win. But I mean, I do realize that no team is safe from a weird game. This season has been weird. So I completely agree with that point. It is possible they could win, but I expect the Patriots to win. But I think not only with this game, that you've also got to highlight the Bills versus the Colts game as well. The Patriots are one game behind the Bills. I don't know if they're necessarily on notice, but they got an easier game this week, and the Bills got the Colts. So those are going to be two games I think you have to watch.
The AFC East, we didn't think was going to be that much of a shakeup this year. But as John said, the only thing we can't bet on is the fact that something will or won't happen, because it just may go the opposite direction.
Right.
Raylin, man, thank you so much for joining us. I know it was kind of a last minute thing. Hey, any Wednesday that you want to jump on the show, sir, you are always more than welcome. The door is always open. John Scheer, Fox Sports 1340 AM, my brother Sideline Sports Network, and our girl, the Queen of Hoops, Miss Megan Price.
Got to shout out my girls. We're 3-0.
The Texas Longhorns?
The Lady Horns, yes.
Lady Horns, congratulations. Yes, congratulations to the Lady Horns being undefeated. And John, we will definitely continue that WNBA conversation, my brother, because since you now have immersed yourself into the Mystics, I can officially say, welcome to the family, my brother. But y'all ain't beating the Sky, because trust me, I'll call Coach Wade, because you know I got the bat phone on that one. I'm going to let him know this year, teams he need to look out for. That up-and-coming Dallas Wing team, which Vicki Johnson kind of brought him into the mix and, kind of guided him.
My coach.
Big sister to him. Listen, I respect what Coach Mike has done with the Washington Mystics, and Della Don, Tina Charles. I want to see them healthy, because I know they're going to be a force. But at the end of the day, hey, you got to beat the champs, baby. That's all there is to it. So we're going to holler at y'all on Monday. Again, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel right here. Check us out. Trust me, either you on or you're off. Peace.